This meeting is being recorded. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for checking out this video here on Show Style and Spirit. I am so elated, so excited to be talking with the wonderful, beautiful Winter, the fan fave of Love and Marriage DC. Thank you so much, Winter, for speaking with me today. How are you?
Well, and thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. So,
Oh, yes. Well, I appreciate your time, so I want to go ahead and jump right in. So,
okay.
of course, tell us about the beginnings of Love and Marriage DC and how you found yourself, on the show.
So that's always a great question. I think it's important that fans know that I did not originally get casted for the show and was initially asked by Monique to be a part of the casting process when I was with my ex-husband because they both knew us from separate worlds. And it just so happened we ended up married. So they reached out to us when they were looking for couples. We did 2 casting rounds and then everything went down in our marriage. And so I contacted Monique at that point. And this was goodness, I mean, over a year ago. So this was like July. I contacted her and said, hey, we got something going on. I'll catch you up later, but pull us from the running. Like we are at this point not going to be moving forward in the casting process. And I didn't speak with her for like a month or two after that to let her know like everything that had went on. But at that point, I didn't think anything else of it. I saw that they had selected the other couples, and I reached out to her at that point and said, congratulations, I'll be watching the show. Happy for you. And then fast forward, they were initially supposed to have Melody Holt from Love and Marriage Huntsville intro in the show. And so the podcast that the fans see me speak at was actually supposed to be Melody Holt. And she got sick. And so they decided to move forward. And at that point, Monique reached out to me because they needed someone to fill the spot. And she said, hey, you're the only person I know that can do it. Are you open to filming? And I said, sure. And so it's supposed to be a one-time scene. Do the podcast, do my talks like I normally do. I've been a public speaker for a number of years. And that was the end of it. It just so happens that one of the execs from the entertainment company was on set that night. And so was the executive producer. And they pulled me aside and said, hey, would you be interested in filming more? Carlos actually told me that they text him and said, hey, you need to see her. We're a little shocked by what we've witnessed on tonight. And, we think, she would be a great addition. And so a few days later, I ended up filming at the Tyler's anniversary party and Carlos was on set. And so at that point, they pulled me to the back of the production room and Carlos was like, hey, I'd like to add you if you're interested in continuing to film. And I said, okay, I'll think about it, but I think so. So that's how I ended up on the show. I really was not supposed to be a part. I was asked to be added and they liked what they saw. And so it was not an aspiration. I never wanted to be on reality TV, not something I had in the back of my mind. It just is the way things worked out. And it was supposed to be a one-time thing. And I just continued at that point. And so as we see the season unfolds, it gets pretty interesting from that point forward. But for a person that's not even like thrown into the fire, really. So what's happened as a result is pretty phenomenal, actually, considering that I didn't have any prep time, no conversations were had. I wasn't, planning or practicing for what to do for months. Like literally, it was just like, okay, this is what it is. And I just showed up as myself. That's really what I did. And so that's how we got here.
That's amazing. That is quite a story.
Yeah.
I was not expecting you to say that. And it just seems like that must be your energy overall, Winter, that you have an open heart and you must just say yes. And then you go for it.
Way too much.
Well, no, don't say that. But I mean,
way too much.
there would not have been a show had you told Monique, well, no, I don't want to do the podcast. No thanks. I won't do the podcast event. I mean, you carried the show, and I'm not just saying that for drama purposes, but you brought something real. You know, lots of people have gone through divorces. So to see you triumphantly go through that, I think that resonated with a lot of the viewers. I can't even imagine a Love and Marriage DC without Winter. That's amazing.
Well, I've been pleasantly surprised, I think, with the way things have turned out, but definitely wasn't the plan. So you kind of just got to go with it at that point.
Okay, all right. So tell me, what is it like filming a reality TV show? You know, the camera is in your face and you're having like normal conversation. You know, what is that like initially?
It's a lot. Oh man, I try to explain to people. It's almost like a takeover in a sense, and it's not in a bad way, but this really to the kids, like, listen, so if we're going to move forward, you got to know, like, sometimes there'll be, people in the house that are a part of the production team, and it's really kind of neat to see them operate, because they would, like, I said they would descend on the house like a SWAT team, right? But they would literally like swoop in, and I would have like 20 people in my house at a time. And I'm not even joking. Like, they would come in, set up the lights, and they would, downstairs in the basement would be their control room. You would have people down there, like people up on the, cameramen up on my stairs. And it is a whole thing. So it is definitely a production, and it takes a lot of time. I would say it takes more time to prep than it does to actually film the scene, but even still, I can remember sometimes, we're working 8-10 hour days and not really filming, but just from hair, makeup, clothes, then you got to get to where you're going, and then you got to, be mic'd and tested, and it's a lot. And for me personally, because I wasn't, supposed to be main cast, for me not to be main cast, and of course I'm not well versed in reality at all, so it's not like I had a clue, but I guess I probably should have had a clue that some of the story was going to be mostly my storyline, because I was filming like 3 and 4 times a week, sometimes twice in a day. And so I think that's what's kind of interesting for people to know as well. Like, yeah, I was a friend of the show, but at that point, my storyline was so heavily incorporated into kind of the main structure of the show that it required me to shoot more as a friend of the show. So I was filming a lot. And my glam squad made a decision like to change my hair and makeup every scene. So every scene, I did not wear the same thing. My hair was not the same. And, they would make little changes here and there. Like, they made me their project all season. Like,
yeah, that's awesome.
Have our way. That's what we're going to do. So it's a lot. It's hectic. It really is. It's a hectic schedule. And you're having to do that in addition to whatever else you got going on, which for me, my kids were still in school. They were still, in activities. My oldest son was graduating high school. So it was a lot going on. A lot going on. So it's busy. It's very hectic. And it's like working another job. It just is. Like, when you show up, you're showing up, like you're showing up to work. It's what it is. But it's a lot of work, and it can be very tiring. So yeah, definitely a lot of work.
And you just, had your kids on a schedule, and you said, okay, listen up, I'm going to be filming. You just do like you normally do. You go to school, come home, and we'll work it out.
Yeah, I think, for me, I'm a little bit more fortunate than most. My my kids, we have 50-50 custody. So their dad and I have joint custody. So 50% of the time they're with me, 50% they are not. And I was quite fortunate that a lot of the time that I was doing a lot of the heavy filming, they were with their dad.
Good.
So it kind of eased the burden. But, you know, there were times where they had to deal with the cameras being here. It's just what it was. And the hair and makeup, like getting at, you know, at my house at 5 and 6 o'clock in the morning. And they adjusted fairly well. Like my youngest would say, she's so funny. Her name is Autumn. So that's a little fun fact. There's another season in our house. And so she would say,
I love that.
I just want my 3 minutes of fame. I'm like, 3 minutes of fame? Like, what in the world? She got her 3 minutes, even though you guys you only see my older kids scene. You don't see the younger kids scene, but they did shoot a scene with the two littles. The scene got cut. So she got her 3 minutes and it made her happy. I think she just wanted to participate in some way.
Yeah.
So it was fun for them. They didn't have any issues whatsoever. And honestly would have enjoyed shooting more, I think. It's just really interesting.
That's awesome. Okay. And it's great to hear that you and their dad, you two seem to work like a team, you know, with the custody. That's great. That's a blessing. That's awesome.
You know, he was asked to film. He was asked to film actually because they thought that it would be a positive image to show on TV how to, you know, divorced parents could manage so well because they witnessed, you know, like it was like clockwork, never any drama, no issues. He just declined and he's a very private person. And it's honestly one of the reasons why I never mention him by name. You will never see me in any scenes mention him by name. I don't go into, you know, what he does or like I respect his privacy. And considering with how some of the drama played out on the show, I'm honestly glad he didn't move forward with filming because, you know, our situation happened 15 years ago and we've moved past it and healed from it and developed a really healthy, you know, family dynamic as a result. And I just feel like certain things when you have people that don't really, I hate to say don't have a care, but I don't know what other word to use right now, but don't really have a care for how, you know, things they say can impact other people, you know, that don't have anything or didn't choose to be a part of a reality show. I'm really quite grateful that he did move forward because I think it just would have made things kind of weird and awkward unnecessarily. And thankfully our kids have a lot of peace and love and happiness as a result of our dynamic. And I just wouldn't have wanted, you know, reality TV to muddy the waters in any way. So I was like kind of like grateful he was like, it's a no for me. So we continue to co-parent in peace.
Yes, absolutely. I see your point now for sure.
Yes.
So I want to talk briefly about the scene with you and Arena where she gets mad at you about something that was said and you two argued. I kind of felt like previously she was always calm in speaking with you, even when things were intense between you and Ashley. Arena would remain even keeled. So I was very shocked by that scene where she was arguing with you. Did you feel that perhaps she felt pressured to talk with you that way and to argue with you? Do you think that's really truly what she wanted to do?
I don't know, but I was unimpressed.
Yeah.
Like, girl, I think that's why I just never engaged. You know what I mean? I was like, are we serious right now? And, you know, I don't know where that came from. And what's interesting is that I've never seen her have really that type of energy with anyone. And I think the other interesting part is that what she was upset over did not require, you know, like she didn't even have the right information. Like she assumed I was bad mouthing her husband or based off of what, you know, Monique went back and told her, she assumed. I'm like, I didn't bad mouth him, only called him a nickname. Like if you want to be mad about that, fine. But I highly doubt most people would have that type of energy over, you know, a nickname. So I don't know where all of that came from. I just was unimpressed and was like, I'm just not going to give you the energy that you want. Furthermore, For the record, Arena and I are the oldest out of this crew.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Yes, that's right. Because they've been married for almost 30 years. They're older than
Yes,
you, the Winter. They're
they
still like
are.
plus years older.
They
Yeah.
are. So I mean, well, I think Arena's like 7 or 8 years older than me. I'm not for sure how old she is exactly, but even
Okay.
still, like as the older two here, I feel like that type of behavior is just a little bit unacceptable. Like we're better than that. Like seriously, be
Yeah.
upset, be angry, but all the getting up and cussing and pointing, I was just like, I didn't feel threatened at all either. I was just like, sit down.
Okay,
Like
good.
when you can speak like an adult, we can continue this conversation, but I'm not
Yeah.
entertaining all of that. It was just weird. I don't know. I don't have a rhyme or reason for why there was a need to go there. Maybe she felt justified, but it just was not cute. So I just couldn't
Yes.
entertain it. I don't know.
And very good. Awesome. You're definitely a class act. And just so everyone is clear, that's my opinion. I just kind of felt like Arena's behavior shifted, from the all of the other episodes up until that scene with Winter. I just felt like she was way too aggressive. It just seemed like perhaps she was pressured to be that way, which leads
Mm.
me to my next question. The reunion. Winter, you are a champion. You took everything like a champ, and I felt like it was uncomfortable for me to watch two men, not one but two, just be very verbally aggressive with you. And I feel like when men do that, they're being like a punk. And then it's oftentimes when they know when the woman is single, and I just kind of felt like it was very uneven and very unfair. Would you say if you were watching that reunion episode and let's say it was another woman, would you say they were verbally aggressive or you just say straight up, yeah, they were too aggressive with me? What are your thoughts?
I have never, that is the one thing I refuse. Like, I don't know what the expectation is and I don't care. I will
Yeah.
never excuse that type of behavior because let's be clear, if the shoe was on the other foot and this was a man or two men coming at their significant others who are women, it would
Yeah.
never go down. Like you have men that are, they've been nasty on social media. Like these are two, grown men coming for a woman. If a man was coming for their women, as a matter of fact, I retweeted something someone said on social media to Arena, and Jamie was like, "Don't speak to my wife that way." And it was like, so clearly you understand that it's
Yeah.
unacceptable behavior. But for some reason, you can't compute why that rule doesn't apply to me. Like my son was like, "Cash me outside, like let that happen again."
Oh.
And the reality is that I was alone because I didn't have anyone up on stage with me. For as much as my best friend was talked about, it was like I would have preferred to bring him because I still don't think that energy would have been given, if there was a man on stage to really kind of balance all of that aggression. So it was completely unacceptable. I will not excuse it. There's no excuse for it. And
Yeah.
again, if you wouldn't tolerate that type of behavior from a man to your wife, then don't do it to another woman. So I thought it was disgusting behavior. Like honestly, probably one of the most disgusting displays of behavior on screen. Like, and I, here and there seen reunions where you've had husbands on stage and things of that nature, but never like this was a level of low, I think,
Yes.
for me that was just like, okay, y'all, it's one thing to be upset, but if you're gonna sit here and use the whole excuse that, oh, it wasn't directed at you, how could it not be? The person that you were directed at was not present. So, and again, I don't even agree with that. We'll let that be his excuse, but we know what went down on that stage, and other people that were a witness to it completely agree with me that it was not directed at some man, it was directed at me. But
Yeah.
I believe once it kind of got out of hand, then there had to be backpedaling done to not, like kind of control the situation because I think
Exactly.
it was not only shocking for me, but I mean, my team was like, what in the entire heck was that about?
Yeah.
Everyone was very disturbed by it. Like, it was not okay. It was not okay. You can't make it okay. And I think, that was the thing that kind of like, I was like, wait, what? When Monique tweeted in defense of him, I was like, okay, I don't want to say she's lost her mind, but it's one thing to, defend, a friend when it's merited, right? But this was not merited, and you cannot excuse that. You know what I mean? So it's one thing to have loyalty, but make it make sense. Like, this is not okay. If a woman is sitting here telling you that they felt like it was too aggressive, it was a toxic level, it was a level of aggression and toxicity I have never in my entire life experienced from a man. That's saying a lot. And I'm not saying that lightly. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a big girl. I think I took a lot of jabs this season, and I think people have figured out that I'm a pretty strong cookie. I wouldn't use this language or say what I'm saying just haphazardly, like just to be saying it. I'm saying it. And honestly, I've shared on other interviews, what was witnessed was actually light work compared to what actually was done.
Oh my.
So it was edited down.
Oh my.
People make the comment, well, why didn't you just show the receipts? I said, okay, let's be clear. That's
the way they were acting.
Exactly. So what you guys witnessed in part 1 was actually filmed second. What you witnessed in part 2 was actually filmed first. So we went from getting some resolve to it going to 1,000 when it was actually being filmed. Do you honestly think that it was safe for me to throw out any receipts? When you go from a calm to that level of a high, you don't then go throw, lighter fluid on an already
big fire
that's already out of control. It doesn't add up. I think if things were controlled and in a better setting, then I think you could have thrown receipts if that was the intention, but you don't air receipts in that type of atmosphere or environment. And I even told Carlos, hey, I'm like, they would have fought me. Like, really, he was like, we don't allow fighting on the show. I was like, you can't stop anybody from launching.
Charging. I know.
Yes. And I'm like, I literally don't believe that would have went well at all. So I'm glad that I did not. It was not worth it to me, nor do I really care all that much. I kept my little receipts tucked nicely under my dress, not even to show them, but I knew that there would be a question of, well, she doesn't have receipts. She's lying, like, I just had them tucked, and my goal was just to flip my dress and be like, no, I'm not lying. I'm not going to show them, but I have them, because I get tired of people telling me that I'm a liar. Like, no, I'm not a liar. I just choose not to go there because that was never the intent in the first place. If I wanted to show receipts, I could have done that when I talked about it. I hate that it was blown so far out of proportion, and we carried the whole season off of something that was, I heard rumors too, not, oh, let me show you what I got. Like, it's just, we're intelligent, capable human beings, I would hope. And I think you can kind of put 2 and 2 together. Like, if she wanted to show receipts, she could have done that. Like, she had every opportunity to do so, and it just was not the case. I just hate I said it at all, because I really wonder, what would they have gone with if I hadn't have said that?
I know they would have had to be organic and say, yes, I've cheated. I've made a mistake. We're still together. We're working on our relationship, X, Y, and Z. Because all of us reality TV junkies like myself, like, we're not idiots. We know that you reality TV stars, people do DM you the receipts. As soon as they see you're filming with someone and they know their secrets, they're sending them to you. Like, we're not stupid. So
thank you for saying that, because people thought I was lying. And I said, I've been very honest that what the information I knew about, Quick, honestly, predated the show. 2 separate situations.
Wow. Okay.
Now the Tylers, which is why I never even got into that, because those were actually DM'd to me. Literally, like, I was, up until the time I was getting my hair done, for the reunion. People were sending me stuff. Like it was in, and my glam squad will tell you, they were sitting there with me when I was getting them. Like, not even joking. It was insane. And I was like, what is really going on? So that's why I honestly reached out to Arena to be like, girl, I know you may be mad at me and all, but you might want to see what people are trying to send out. You know what I mean? Like, this is the type of stuff that people are sending. And I didn't think TV was the place to share that information. I was just going to give it directly to her. That got blown out of proportion too. So at this point, I'm just like, whatever. I'm going to chips fall where they may. But Winter is just not going to get
You were
involved.
looking out for her. Oh my gosh.
Let people tell it I was trying to be messy. And I was like, no, this wasn't a messy situation.
No, I see. You were trying to look out for her. Like you said, this is what people are trying to say about you. Duh. I'd be grateful. Okay.
Listen, and again, I've said that too. It's like, hey, you may not want to know anything on your husband, and you may not want to know what people are saying about you, but I think anything that has any reference to your kids, as a mom, I would want to know. You know what I mean? Like anything. And neither here nor there. Like I said, somebody asked me, like, if they reached back out and said, would you give? I'm like, no. At this point, I know nothing. I'm literally Men in Black. I know nothing. Don't ask me nothing. I ain't got nothing. I don't know nothing. Like, it's all good. You didn't want to know, and I'm not getting in the middle of it because it's not worth it at this point. It's like, you made your stance known, and I'm going to remain over here. So I'm just going to pretend like I know nothing. I don't know.
I can't blame you, not one bit. Okay. So, of course, Winter, as so many of us have said, you know, you have carried the show and you're so open. That's just like your energy, and you just share so much of your life experience. And, you know, with the cast, they've kind of reacted to you the way that they have. You know, what does that feel like? Like, do you still feel like your normal Winter self, or do you feel really overwhelmed or exhausted?
No, I feel like my normal Winter self.
Okay.
So because I didn't just become open because of the show, I honestly wholeheartedly believe that Monique knew that I would be open and transparent. I was open and transparent on her podcast 2 years ago. She knows how I roll. This is not new, you know? So I'm not showing up to perform a thing. I'm being me. I've been open. It's how I've always been. It's how I prefer to live my life. I always feel like if you own your crap, no one can ever throw it in your face. I hate that there are literally some things I can't talk about because it's legal stuff in the way. Otherwise, I'm like, I would talk about it. I do not care. We all have lived a life. We all have made mistakes. We all have made bad decisions. The worst thing you can do is try to cover it up and hide it. You might as well just own it. People dig anyway. Like, I don't understand the logic behind getting on a reality TV show when you know people dig.
Say it, girl. Say it louder for the people in the back. I know so many people, they're on TV shows and they try to hide. And the viewers, we're all just like, well, we don't care. Just, you know, be yourself.
Might as well own it.
Sir.
Yeah, so I know it hasn't overwhelmed me. I am who I am. I'm not changing. I think I got a question in one interview, like, you know, did you start growing your hair back out because did you start growing your hair back out because they made fun of it? I was like, what? I am 40 years old. If I'm making those type of decisions because someone made fun of my hair, like, seriously, no, my hairstylist made that decision. My hair has been shaved for 5 years. I didn't make that decision for them. I didn't make that decision for anyone but myself. And I think it sometimes kind of frustrated them that, you know, some things just really didn't bother me. Even when they threw out the situation with, you know, the nanny, I honestly had to stop myself a few times from laughing because it's almost comical to me when people don't understand your journey. And I have this saying, it's hard to be hurt when you're healed. So certain things don't impact me anymore. Like, you're using something that legit does not hurt my feelings. But the bigger issue is that I knew my kids would be watching. You know what I mean? And I wanted to be respectful to them. You know, them not talking about the situation and me having an issue with it was not about me being like, oh my gosh, like I could care less. But my kids, you know, that was a real thing. My oldest daughter actually tweeted at Ashley, and was like, I don't think it's funny that you used our trauma as a joke.
Your kids are so articulate. Like the scene when you were talking to your oldest two, and they were like, Mom, it's okay. He love bombed you. I remember that because I'm like, wow, her daughter is so wise to be so young. She's already, I can tell she's like a deeper person, spiritual. I love that scene so much. I know you're so proud.
Yes, she literally, it's you know, I think it's good when what you put in your kids comes out, right? So I think for me, it was just more so like, oh, we did something right here. We did something right. And we always teach them to speak their truth. Like, speak your truth. You know, we don't ask our kids to be anyone but themselves. We don't try to suppress their voice. Like, speak your truth, speak your mind. All we ask is for respect, be respectful, but speak your truth. So they were exactly who they would be any given time of the day. My mom makes a joke. I would not let people speak baby talk to my kids because I'm like, they're human beings. They're not weirdos. Like, stop doing that. So I would like correct people who would try to like go into that baby voice. Like, no, speak to them like a regular person. Now, backfired because now they talk like 40-year-olds. And so, you know, yeah, we have intellectual debates. I couple years ago, I would say about 6 years ago. I would say 6 years ago, last presidential election before Biden got elected. I have one that's conservative and one that's liberal, and they were literally debating. Yes, my two older ones. They were debating women's rights, and they both were very passionate about their stances. But we have real debates in our household. My 11-year-old, listen, you will forget that she's 11 if you talk to her for 5 minutes.
I love that.
So that's our house. You know, I can't speak for anyone else, but you know, it did backfire because now that when I try to discipline, it's kind of like they'll make certain points.
That's so funny.
And, you know, my youngest son, he's 14, he'll be 15 in December, and he's asked me, can he get his ears pierced? And I said, absolutely not. I said, we have rules in this house. He said, Mom, it's my body, my choice.
Oh my. You're like, shut up. Quit thinking.
That does not apply in this situation.
My body, my choice, Mom.
Yeah. So that's unfortunately what we get in our house. But yeah, very proud of them. They're little people, and I consider it a privilege to be their mom. You know what I mean? Like I got very fortunate. So they're good kids. They really, really are.
That's great. And I'm so glad you brought up the hair thing. I want to briefly touch on that. I remember that so well because like I have dreadlocks. And so like that was episode 1 when Arena said in her confessional, the side of her head is shaved. If a woman does that, she is going through something. And I remember thinking that is so lame. Like, because some people react that way to women who have locks. Like, I just got tired of, you know, the heavy maintenance of I've worn sew-ins and braids.
Mm-hmm.
I was just ready to walk away from it all. It doesn't mean like I'm going cuckoo or I've been dumped or something. I just wanted to keep my hair. You know, I just thought that was so like surface. And it's just my opinion, you guys. It has nothing to do with winter. I just kind of felt like you should see a woman more deeply than just how she wears her hair if she shaves her hair. It just seemed lame to me, but you know.
Well, and what's even lamer is that the last time she saw me when I had a husband with me, my head was shaved. So it's like, you know better.
Okay. Good point. Yeah. Nothing to do with the man.
No, I'm like, you know better. You absolutely know better. So it was just whatever. But my daughter has locks. She's a loctician, actually. and does other locks.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. Oh, wow,
Yes.
that's great. I love having locks so much. So tell me, what are your thoughts on dating today? Dating is rough out here. Oh my gosh, it's wild. Between
Still
like
is
dating apps, social media, what do you think?
still as raggedy as it was when I left it.
Yes, it is, honey. Oh my gosh.
Raggedy.com. I mean, I was talking, I did a reel yesterday because my DMs, I don't know what's happened.
Oh, I bet yours are off the
They
chain.
are a special type of special these days. And my executive assistant was like, Winter, because she checks my DMs for like business purposes. And she was like, what is going on? I don't know what's going on. I was like, it has really gotten bad. They're even messaging my business email. Like, it's just like, I don't know. It's just still raggedy. I am dating though. And I'm grateful that my selection doesn't give me grief and it's been a weirdo, like we're good. But I don't know. It's raggedy. I don't know. I got nothing.
No.
I'm like, oh, things haven't changed. It's still bad. So
Exactly. That's so funny. So now, of course, the church promotes marriage, the Bible promotes marriage. But do you think that the church sometimes perhaps talks to the women more about marriage than the guys? Do you think like they maybe give men like the freedom to pursue their education or their working goals and they can just kind of drill it into the women? You should be married. When are you getting married? Married, married, married. What do you think?
yeah, I think the church has created quite the dilemma when it comes to dating. We have a group of over-equipped women and a group of under-equipped men when it comes to marriage.
Mm-hmm.
So it's unfortunate because what people have found out is that women invest in themselves. So they're going to buy the books. They're going to go to the conferences. They're going to go to the courses. They're going to buy the master classes. They're going to do the things that put them in a position to be a wife. However, men do not. So men are not investing in this whole marriage mindset the way that women have been conditioned to. So again, it creates this weird dichotomy of these over-equipped women and these under-equipped men. And I don't feel like we ever find a balance until we stop really conditioning women to feel like their only purpose in life is to be a wife.
Yes.
It's unfortunate because again, based off the numbers don't support us. I have to tell African American women all the time that statistically we are the least likely to marry alongside Vietnamese men.
Wow.
So unless you're looking to marry a Vietnamese man,
I wouldn't
a
know.
lot of us are going to go unmarried. It's true. It's unfortunate but true. So I think the church has done women a disservice, most importantly. And it's done men a disservice because men get the freedom to play a lot longer than women do. If it isn't all the restrictions that we have when it comes to makeup and dress and all that, we also have a time clock that's very much against us. It's a reality. We don't get a choice. Our eggs are only good for so long. It's what it is. We don't get the luxury, that men get to consistently procreate for as long as they want to procreate. So I think we definitely got to kind of reverse the way we've been teaching this thing. I've been guilty of teaching it wrong. It's one of the things that I feel like was so good to vocalize as a part of really being on this platform, and people really get to see the demise and how, unfortunately I was on that whole purity bandwagon and, gotta send you the right man and blah, blah, blah. And let me tell you, I got a man, all right, but right, I wouldn't exactly call it that.
Yeah.
A lot of that had to do with my programming, when it came to looking for what I thought was a quote unquote man of God. And
Yeah.
it totally backfired on me. So, because I am a transparent person, you cannot be authentically passionate about educating women when things go right and not be equally as passionate about educating women when things go wrong.
Okay. I love
And
that.
for
You're one
me,
who's written so many books. You're a great speaker.
you,
Sorry to
but
interrupt.
no, you're fine. But I just felt like I owed it to my audience to be honest
Okay.
and really transparent and own up to the fact that, hey, I got this really wrong. And I don't want to blame it all on, oh, this, oh, that, he did this, he did that. Like, I can only take accountability for Winter.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, if I'm going to make better decisions going forward, then Winter has to assess what went wrong now. What did Winter not do quite so well? So, one of the things that was a takeaway for me is that sometimes we can be so heavily minded, we're no earthly good.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
while I had a lot of spiritual boxes that were being checked, I completely overlooked the common sense check boxes.
Okay. Gotcha. I've been there.
So, but see, we actually praise that in church.
Yeah.
We praise the overly spiritual check boxes. Like, oh yes, he's praying, he's speaking in tongues, he's serving in church. Like, those are the things we praise. But
Exactly.
how about the common sense that says 60 years old, still, even though I didn't know it was his parents' basement apartment, but a 60-year-old in a basement apartment, you're at the sunset of your life, not the sunrise. So
right.
Sunset, you would think there would be at least a rental property.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, those are just some things that in retrospect, yeah, you try to give the benefit of the doubt, but honestly, if you're talking about someone who is marriage minded, it really didn't make a whole lot of sense. You know what I mean? So again, the whole rushing aspect, we praise that in church. If it's rushed, if it moves quickly, it must be God. A man who loves the Lord and finds his rib isn't going to take a long time to lock you down.
Yeah. I've been told that too. It don't take long, to know, or, or I feel like women, we've been trained to, like how you said, we don't praise the other boxes. We're trained to go with potential, potential, you should be okay with that. I feel like women are kind of trained to almost like settle, but then at the same time, we're raised to be hardworking and to still be independent. It just seems so imbalanced.
Yes, it is extremely. And I think so too. The whole rushing thing, that's another lesson that I've taken away from this. Love was never meant to be rushed.
Yeah.
Who created the idea of rushing love? There's no such thing. And it shouldn't. Real, authentic love that is meant to withstand the test of time takes time.
Okay.
And we would have to now be honest about that and teach a whole generation of faith-based women that it's okay if it takes time.
Yeah. Because people will sometimes almost look at you in a gossiping way if you're dating someone for a few years and you haven't gotten the ring, where's your ring? And I feel like a lot of times you're applying that pressure to yourself because you're worried about what others are going to say or think, when who cares? Who cares what they think?
Doesn't matter. Live your life for yourself. So at 40 years old, I'm learning to live my life for myself. I've told my family, I've told my friends, you don't get a vote. Winter dates who she wants to date because she wants to date them, not because I need the approval of everyone involved. The most important people are my kids, as long as they are not uncomfortable, as long as they are good and they like the person, no one else gets a vote. And I'm serious. Like I don't care what your opinion is. I don't care if you think they're okay. I don't care if you think it's none of your business. So I legitimately have made peace with that, and it's been good. It's for the first time I'm like, this has been an enjoyable process for me because I haven't been worried about processing other opinions. That's too much. It's too much. It's too many burdens to carry. And so it was a mistake I made this past time. Everyone gave a vote and everyone loved him. But when everything went down, everyone was like, oh my God, right. No one gets a vote this time because at the end of the day, the only person who was ultimately impacted was me.
Yes, exactly.
So we're going to live with bad decisions. It's going to be all my bad decisions.
That's right.
Contributions from others. So yeah, I just have really learned to live for myself, own my journey. And it doesn't mean that my walk with the Lord is any different. In fact, I feel like it's become stronger because of this.
For sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. The relationship is between you and God, not you and the motherboard and the usher board and everyone else. It's you and him. So that's great. You actually already answered my next question, which was, are you open to romantic love? Well, you already said that you're dating. So that's great. That's awesome.
It's true. It's been fun.
All right. Yeah. Enjoy.
Indeed.
So, okay. What dating advice or advice for moving forward after a relationship would you give to women?
Learn from your mistakes. Don't put so much pressure on yourself. Forgive yourself. And have fun. I really think we don't have enough fun. We're so serious as women. And for the first time in my life, I'm serious, but I'm also a lot more flexible. And I say that because I'm not so stressed out about the end. You know what I mean? Like we always date with the end in mind. That's great. And there is a time for that. But sometimes we just need to let your hair down and have a little fun. And it's okay. You know, I think it has allowed me to enjoy this process probably more than I've ever enjoyed it in my life, just because I'm not looking so, much towards the end of a thing. It's like, okay, it feels good. Things are going well. We're having a good time. We get along, we commute. Those are the most important things. I'm not looking, down the road right now. It's not appropriate. And really, it kind of waters down the process of really coming together and getting to know the person like you need to even make those kinds of decisions. So right now, it's more so about really developing friendship. I feel like I missed that the last time as well. Like you want to marry your best friend. End of the day, that needs to be the bottom line. And if you aren't doing that, good luck, because it's gonna be rough. And you can't become, the foundation needs to be there. So you really gotta let time have what time needs, or time have its perfect work. We say that about patience, but let time have its perfect work. So I would just say take your time. I think I said it on my live a couple days ago, like slow these jokers down. Don't rush everything. Slow down. And don't be so hard on yourself. Like literally, I think we're hard on ourselves as women, and we need to be less hard on ourselves. I feel like I'm sexier than I've ever been. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, girl, you got it going on at 40. Like
absolutely.
I think sometimes we feel like, we're losing ground, but I'm like, no, like we get better with age. We age like fine wine. So I really would just say, take your time. If you're a mom with kids, make sure you allow them the time to get to know the person that you're with. I really hate that I had a rule that I'm kind of breaking these days, only because that the marriage was very hard for my kids because they really had a difficult time living with him. And it's one of those things where I wish I had given him more time as well. Like it was very rough. And I wish there was more time to kind of see how he maneuvered in and out of the dynamic of our family. I think that would have been very telling and also would have led to me ending the relationship before we even got down the aisle. Like literally, it was very hard for them. So if you're a mom with kids, make sure you give your kids time to get to know the person you're considering doing life with. But they deserve their dating phase too, if you will. So be mindful of that. Yeah.
I love that dating phase with the kids. That's awesome. All right. So I know that you are a writer. You've written several books. And I love to journal and I've written some short stories. But I wanted to ask you, what does writing do for you? Like when you're writing a book, what's that experience like?
I consider myself an inspired writer. So usually when I'm writing, it's inspired by something I'm going through. So writing is very therapeutic for me. And I'm a person that I learn lessons with everything. So anything that I learn, any wisdom that I gain, I don't mind sharing it and hope that whatever I've learned can help someone else. So I'm usually writing because I've gone through something. That's just what it is. Like whether, I one book I really feel like should be a show. Divorce in the City was a book I wrote, which was actually my dating journal I kept after I got divorced from my children's father.
Oh, wow.
And I turned it into a book. Because I could not name names and I did not want to be sued, I gave them all nicknames. And so every chapter is named after each guy I dated during that time. I think like the first chapter is called Tinder. It was my first time ever using Tinder. And honestly, my first time ever really using a dating app. And I was like, why didn't someone tell me that Tinder was like a smash app? Like I didn't know. So it was an adventure. That book is quite funny actually. And I told my mom, I'm like, I'm gonna tell you now, if you read this book, I'm sorry. I am a grown woman in this book and I behave as such. And I'm sorry if it is embarrassing in any way. But I really feel like at some point I should turn it into like a YouTube show or a Netflix show. Like it really probably deserves to have actors act it out, but it is like quite the journey. And I think one chapter is called Army of Lies, Cabbage Patch Kid, Tylenol PM, literally the most boringest date I've ever been on in my life. I've never heard a man love the sound of his voice so much. I have no clue what he talks about. I swear to God, I dozed off a couple times. It was really, really bad. So his nickname was Tylenol PM. It was just horrific. Absolutely horrific.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, the book is funny. It's just a funny book, but I purposely remember ending that book single.
Okay.
Like even though it was a dating book, I intentionally made sure I ended that book single. And I think ultimately the takeaway was that I was sufficient enough as a person to stand on my own 2 feet. And having a man was not the validation.
Oh, right.
And I think growing up traditionally, right, as a Christian household, you think marriage is the goal. And it's a great goal to have. But when that doesn't happen or it doesn't happen in your time frame, a lot of women tend to feel incomplete or insufficient or inadequate. And for me, going through that process and realizing like dating is quite screwed up these days. But at the end of the day, the sum total of who I am is not dependent on whether or not I'm attached to someone. I had to eventually learn that I was enough and I was okay, even if I was by myself. So that's where we ended the book. And that was really ultimately the lesson I got to, but it was after going through a lot of frogs. I kissed way too many frogs during that. It was just a mess. But anyway, so yeah, I'm an inspired writer. I don't necessarily just write just to write. I definitely write to go through it and self-therapy in a sense.
Okay, that's awesome. It's therapeutic. Yes. So where can people buy your books?
So I'm an Amazon author. So I have an author page on Amazon.
All right.
I'm honestly, I don't advertise all of them. It's so awful. I'm such a horrible self-promoter. I hate it. But I've actually written 8 books, and you can find like 4 or 5 of them. Amazon, Barnes and Noble, like it's everywhere. I even have an author page on Goodreads. I've had both of them since like 2018, 2017, something like that. I don't know, but yeah. So
we
I'm
can
a
just
legitimate author, I guess.
So like on Amazon, we can just type in Winter Harris and your titles will, okay, awesome. That's perfect. So type in Winter Harris.
My beautiful photo. My photos should pop up. But yeah, you can type my name in and my author page. Just if you type in usually Winter Harris author, my author page will come up.
Okay, awesome, perfect. Yeah. And now tell us about your luxury boutique.
Yes, it's my baby. So I just launched my new online luxury resale boutique. It's called Simple Lux Boutique, and I love all things luxury. But I don't always like the cost that you have to pay for them. So
yeah, sure.
Kind of my slogan is that I paid for luxury so you didn't have to. So
and we appreciate that.
Yes. So it's all of my high-end designer finds, and you get at a fraction of the cost, because it is either, now some things are actually brand spanking new. I can't sit here and lie and act like they're all, resale, but I call them gently loved, pre-loved, but really amazing bargains and finds on high-end designer fashion for both men and women. So we have accessories, we have clothing, we have shoes. I'm just excited about it. And it's been fun for me. It's probably something I should have done years ago, just because I've been kind of a reseller for a long time, but it took me a while to get here, but I made it. So yes, I enjoy it. And I think every man and woman should have a little bit of luxury in their life, which is why I call it simple luxury. You ain't got to overdo it. Keep it simple. But it's been so much fun. Like I just mailed off 5 orders, 5 orders. So people are shopping the site. And I try to warn people, like, don't get sticker shock, because it is not your typical boutique. This is not like Target type stuff. These are things that you would get. Yeah, it's things you would get out of Neiman's and Saks and actual like designer stores. So we are just passing the value down to our customers. And I also take requests. People say, hey, keep a lookout for this, that, or the other. I try to give previews of what's coming later. We have a lot of stuff. So I'm trying to slowly but surely get it uploaded. But it's really, really great finds. And people have been really pleased, like, oh man, you got some really nice stuff on here. So it's been kind of nice. So we're just getting the word out. So I tell people, if you can't afford it, share. It costs you nothing to share and spread the word. And word of mouth is really what grows a business. So I'm like, if you can't afford anything in a boutique, just share it with someone that might be interested. And I always say, hey, you deserve to treat yourself too. Sometimes people get a little nervous, but this is a great way to intro yourself into designer. You may not can walk into a designer store and pay for something that's full price, but finding something in our boutique would be a great gateway purchase that will help kind of graduate you into making those high-end purchases. My daughter, I think I've spoiled her rotten, but definitely is spoiled on the finer things, and I tend to like pass things down. And I got this bamboo Gucci purse, but I said I had like a mama and a baby version of it, and so I ended up giving her the baby version of it, which in retrospect, why she has a $2,300 bag makes no sense. At 20 years old, she does take care of it. Like I teach her how to take care of it, and she does not wear it with everything. She only breaks it out every now and then. Like she knows the deal on it. But I also, teach her the importance of when we talk about this level of luxury, this is an investment. And I like to share that because people always say, well, why would I spend that kind of money? I'm like, well, if you ever fell on hard times, you can't go sell your Target bag. You can't go sell your bag that you made at JCPenney's. Like, you're just out of that money. The beautiful thing is that I tell women, for the amount of bags that you buy at these places where you're paying maybe $50 or $100, you could have just saved all of that, bought one that will stand the test of time. And, 5-10 years down the road, you still have a bag that's still usable and that's still relevant. It's not going to be the same for a bag you buy at some of these other places. Not to say you can't, and it's fine if that's your prerogative, but, I do teach this type of luxury as an investment. So every woman deserves an investment piece. This is a great way to get one in your closet. You buy it from me, you're getting a lot of savings, but the beautiful thing is that it's an investment. So you still would be able to turn around and resell it if you wanted to, and still make a significant profit, even still. So you may lose a little, but not a lot. A lot of these bags hold their value for quite some time, but we have some pretty neat things in the shop. So definitely check it out. And make that first purchase if you're on the fence. One lady said my boutique was her first luxury purchase ever in her life, and she's 45.
Wow, so good for her. Yeah, because I went on your website. It's beautiful. It's user-friendly, organized, and it looks great. The items look great. So I know I'll be for sure.
And we take Afterpay. Afterpay.
Yes.
So I like to share that too. We take Afterpay, and Afterpay will allow you to use it on items up to $2,000.
Wow.
So it's a significant amount of money to be able to use Afterpay on. So I encourage people like, hey, if you don't have it all today, you're able to use Afterpay. Now, don't be, not paying light bills and stuff like that. I don't encourage that. Right. Shop responsibly, but it is a great way if you want to break up those payments. You can certainly use Afterpay on our items.
Okay, awesome. And I know that everyone can access your luxury boutique website from your Instagram, and your handle is I am Simply Winter, like I, and then the letter M, Simply Winter, and then you're Simply Winter on YouTube.
Yes, Simply Winter 81. I don't know why I have 81 on there, but whatever, we're gonna go with it.
Okay, awesome. And then also, how can people stream your song, Sign My Papers?
Anywhere music is sold: iTunes, Apple Music, Spotify, Shazam, SoundCloud, TikTok, Instagram. It's everywhere. You can literally find it everywhere music is downloadable and streamable.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Winter, again for speaking with me. You are a vibe. Yes, I could talk to you forever. This is great. Is there anything else that you would like to add?
No, I would say just check my website for upcoming events. We have a lot of great events coming up. I host retreats, both domestic and internationally. So if you're looking to travel with a great group of women out of the country, join us for the Queen's Table Luxury Retreat. Payment plans are now available and you can get your spot reserved. But we just took a group of 25 women to Mexico in June and had an incredible time. So I would love to see you all there. If you're looking to travel with a great group of women, we'd love to have you a part of the Queen's Table.
Okay. Well, I'm going to check that out as well. I would love to go on a luxury trip. That's awesome.
Yes, and it is luxury. We have an incredible time. So it's not some shabby little situation. Like, it is luxury, and it was phenomenal. We've heard, like, the feedback was literally 100% positive, and literally 25 women. So everyone hands down said they're spoiled now, but hey, I feel like we deserve it and we're worth it. So it's something that's very exciting for me, and definitely has been a dream of mine, and to just really show women a different way. And I think so often, especially as minority women, we're not exposed necessarily to a luxury lifestyle all the time. And I think it's a great way to show women what's possible, not because you want to, hold a status or look a certain way, but really because you're worthy and deserving of some of the finer things in life. And so it's a great way that I found to really just introduce women to the type of things that they wholeheartedly deserve if they want them.
So women, you all heard it here. So Winter told you about her luxury boutique. You deserve those finer things and at a fraction of the cost. And she also does luxury retreats. So that's not something that you hear every day. And she just said that you're worth it. So definitely check out her social media where you can go to her websites, purchase her books, stream her music. You know, you are amazing, Winter. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. This has been great. I appreciate the opportunity, and thank you all for tuning in and hearing what I have to say.
Thank you. You all take care. Bye-bye.